Stoli, the goalie, was in fact the story in Buffalo as the Florida Panthers have now hit 10 straight road wins.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Friday, February 16th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez from the Hockey News, and you follow me on X at MonoMan12. Follow the show account on X and Instagram at LO_FLA Panthers. And shout out to the everydayers who come back here and get your daily Florida Panthers fix. So, Florida Panther fans, great that you guys are waking up to the news that the Florida Panthers have won their 10th straight road game and now find themselves not only at the top of the Atlantic, but the top of the Eastern Conference, tied at 74 points with the Boston Bruins. But they do own the tiebreaker after a 4-0 road victory over the Buffalo Sabres in their first of 3 matchups this season. And just Anthony Stolarz, the story of this one, with 45 saves, the second most saves in his career. And man, just incredible what the Florida Panthers continue to do with their PK as well, going a perfect 2 for 2. But here to break down this 4-0 win for the Florida Panthers, as the Florida Panthers didn't really break this one open until the final few minutes. But the Florida Panthers, still a dub, a regulation win also. And here joining me, it is a Fairbanks Friday. Nich Fairbanks is back here on the show. Nich, how are you feeling, my friend? Because I'm feeling incredibly pumped after seeing the Florida Panthers reach double digits in their road winning streak.
That's definitely one thing. The other thing is you come in expecting a win, even though it's a back-to-back, and you put up a performance like that after that team just put up 7 on the LA Kings, who, they're up and down. I mean, they've been mostly down, but the whole team is playing together now. This is a complete unit. I would have to say these 2 games definitely signify that they can win anyway, and they will make sure that they punish you for it. So I'm ecstatic. And I couldn't, feel better about going into the weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. And let's also take into consideration what the Buffalo Sabres were coming into tonight with. No Owen Power for a second consecutive game, and then Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen gets injured in morning skate. We spoke about him in our preview with Joey Gansey yesterday. But coming into this one, just his first start since December 5th on the NHL level as well. But like you said, different style of game. You talk about Wednesday where there were only 7 total shots in the first period, and then the Panthers, their forecheck was going, especially from their bottom 6. I mean, 9-3 shot on goal advantage from the bottom 6 in that first period, really setting the tone for the Panthers. And when you think about how that first goal happened, it was the fourth line. Even before they got the puck in deep, they were consistently there on the forecheck. But then once they got it in deep, it allowed that first line to get on the ice for Alexander Barkov, have that stick lift to feed to Carter Verhaeghe to make it 1-0 as well. But then you think about how the Buffalo Sabres came out firing in the second period. I mean, that period for the Buffalo Sabres, I mean, the energy was there. That's where you could tell that the Florida Panthers were on the second end of a back-to-back. But also, I mean, Stolarz had made incredible saves, especially 2 on Casey Middlestat, with Casey Middlestat is going to see Stoli in his nightmares. There was one on a redirect by Kyle Okposo, and then Stolarz makes another save on that. Just incredible how he's able to read plays as well with getting the pads down as well. But also in the second period, a lot of perimeter-based shots as well, where with Anthony Stolarz's 6'6" frame, for me, if they're trying to test my vertical movement, for me, I have to reach my shoulder way up. But for Stoli, you can only see this on YouTube if you're listening to the show. If you're watching the show, for Stoli, it's just a little bit, So his vertical movement wasn't really tested much. Obviously, body dimension helps a lot with that. So, how do you think about how the Panthers weathered that storm in the second period when the Buffalo Sabres dominated at least the possession game?
They handled it like a true professional team. They limited I guess, the quality of the shots. I know Stoli had to bail them out a few times, but that's the game plan. You clog up the neutral zone, you make it hard for entries. If they do get in, then you make it hard for those open lanes, whether it's passing or for shots. And I thought the Panthers did an okay job with that. But you know what? In order to win games, you need the players on the ice to actually perform and not have let down. I felt like the defense did a great job as far as clearing pucks and winning battles, but Stolarz just definitely bailed them out a couple times, and he was the main reason why they won tonight. Outside of the goal scorers, but you really can't say much more than that. This was pretty much academic tonight.
Yeah, and you think about for the Panthers, I mean, especially when it came to support on the puck as well with their battles, you always had consistently saw guys there for in case the puck does break loose for a quick breakout. And the Bally broadcast also spoke about how the Buffalo Sabres were trying to get that stretch pass going between the second and third between the second and third period as well, on what they were doing well there as far as that for the Sabres there. But also also the amount of different opportunities as well, where puck goes loose, Matthew Tkachuk is in the low slot, and then in the second period, Reinhart has a breakaway where he tried to go between the legs and just did not get the puck on his tape fully, as they kept it out as well, and then also just the ability to consistently skate back. I mean, I believe there was one pinch that Niko Mikkola had, and then Montour looked like that he was going to be by himself on a 2-on-1, and then you see Niko Mikkola skating back, and you see the, as you were forcing them to the outside, the quality of chances down the middle were just not as much as not there weren't high quality chances down the middle as well, and that's why I said in our group chat earlier, thank goodness Brandon Montour has a defense partner this year who can skate.
Definitely, because who was that partner last year? Was that a Mr. Mark Stahl, I think?
Yeah, Mr. Mark Stahl there. Yeah, but even though he was good in the playoffs, I will give him his flowers there.
Yeah, they both played excellent in the playoffs last year, but no, you can just tell that Mikkola is just given another dimension to this defense, not only with his mobility, but with his size. He's not somebody to be messed with. I mean, he kind of showed that last game. I hope Jake Gensel is going to be okay and everything, but sometimes when you mess with a big man like that, those are the results you're going to get. So, as far as Buffalo's game, the only thing that they really have right now is the stretch pass, or trying to get a goal off the rush. That's all they have right now, and unfortunately, they don't have a lot of players right now that I think can possess the puck outside of their blue liners. A lot of their passes from their forwards were off; they couldn't handle the puck, and it just seems like it was hopping around on them. And Florida was actually fortunate on a couple chances of that, but nevertheless, defense did what they had to do, and they secured a win.
Yeah, and getting it out with speed. And another quality chance that they had was Gadjevich getting out, and then Montour there on the trailer, and then it rings off the post as well.
Yep.
Montour was also speaking about how Stolarz, not only was he making the saves, but he was his communication was well during that, knowing where to tell the guys where to go as far as their coverage as well. So it's just great on both the defense, the forwards on their forecheck on the other side, and then Stolarz just consistently finishing as well. And then there was one opportunity that looked like it might have gone in with Dylan Cousins towards the end, but then Stolarz lands on his back, gets that friendly whistle, and preserves still holds on to that shutout. And also for the Panthers, once they got that lead, especially when they extended it to 2, the Panthers, as far as shifts, they were smooth, they were rolling. Nobody was out on the ice for too long as well. There especially because of the fact that there wasn't a lot of penalties early on. There was none. 20 minutes,
Yep.
full minutes of 5-on-5. So it really helped the Panthers as far as rolling the lines as well, and especially knowing like 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 that first goal that the top line got, the fourth line helped with getting the pucks deep, but it really happened throughout the night as well, as far as getting the necessary changes and getting fresh bodies on the ice as well. And that's great for what the Florida Panthers did on the night. But we're going to transition over to segment number 2, where we are going to give our 3 stars of the game, and we are going to discuss more about when we thought this game was won or lost. We are going to discuss that more here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors, and passion, drive, patience. That's what brings home the winning trophy. Is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your lifestyle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only. Available to U.S. customers. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV Channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV Channels app. Back on this Friday, February 16th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Friday. And Nick, the Panthers are 4-0-1 on the second end of a back-to-back. Just incredible. And most of those games giving up 1 goal or fewer too. So just incredible run that the Panthers are currently on. And like we said at the top of the Eastern Conference, tied because of regulation wins, owning that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why we spoke about the regulation win stats, which really shows the value of your team as far as getting those wins. But Panthers went 2 for 2, perfect on the PK, and then their one and only power play goal was towards the end with the Lamborghini, Ryan Lomberg, and then a little bit of a scuffle happened at the end with Gergensons, as he showboated a little bit after that one. He said power play 3 after that one, so a little bit of humor coming from the Lamborghini as well. But 3 stars of the game. So I'm going to go with Verhaeghe at number 3, getting the 2 goals, including the empty netter. If the boys on the ice knew that Austin Matthews had a natural hat trick tonight, I'm sure Verhaeghe would have passed that puck off to Sam Reinhart to at least get a little closer in the Rocket Richard race. But looks like that Austin Matthews is running away with that. Anton Lundell. We spoke about the bottom 6 about how they were able to get it going on the forecheck. I feel like I'm a broken record when talking about how great the bottom 6 was with their forecheck, but that third line of Lundell, Rodriguez, and Luosterainen, Corsi for percentage of over 75%, and shots for 11-5 at 5-on-5. Just incredible what that line did tonight. And then first star of the game has to go Anthony Stolarz, 45 of 45. And this is the Panthers' 4th shutout of the season as well. Bob with 3, Stoli with his first as a Panther as well. So just like I said, just using that frame of his and to get on top of the crease, tried testing the glove very early on,
Mhm.
and there was barely any shots that would trickle off the glove, and even going off the end boards, you would see him with the glove whistle as well. So that's also what I like about Stoley's performances. He got the whistles when necessary as well. Your 3 stars, my friend.
I'm actually going to go with Alexander Barkov at number 3. We've nicknamed him Silent Death in the chat just because he's so sneaky, and what he is able to do on the forecheck and just lift a guy's stick up and just take it. It's like, give me that, give me that, give me that. I think I saw that on Twitter or whatever, which is great. But he's playing at a ridiculous rate right now, and the way that he was able to set up for Hagee's goal and keep plays alive and just make basically setting the tone for the rest of the team in the first period. So I'll give him the 3rd star. 2nd star, I do want to give it to who do I want to give it to? I'm going to give it to Anton Lundell.
Your boy.
I have to give him his flowers right now. Just because I feel like he's starting to round out. I think he's starting to figure some things out. He's playing a much bigger man's game now. He went up against Thompson's line and shut him down. Okay. He played Thompson physical, and he was rewarded with that deflection goal. He was all over the ice. He was noticeable. And I just have to say is if he was not rolling, I don't know if Rodriguez or Losterainen were going to be rolling with him. So I have to give him the 2nd star. And then we have to give Stoley, the goalie, the 1st star, because some of the saves he made tonight really was the difference between a win and a loss, or maybe a regulation win, or an overtime win. Sorry.
Stoley, like I said, Stoley the goalie was the story in this one for the Panthers. So as far as when I thought this game was won or lost, the moment that I thought I was thinking about it really when the buzzer went to 000, when the clock went to 000, excuse me. And the more I think about it, it's more when the Panthers killed off the penalty in the second period, when Bennett went to the box for boarding, and the amount of saves that Stolarz was making, the glove save on Thompson, had his pads down on Dahlin's shot, and Stenlund, amazing on that PK, taking away the shooting lanes. Honorable mention for Kevin Stenlund. Honorable mention Jonah Gadjevich as well. Even though he took a shot, he took something to the face towards the end as well. Hopefully Jonah Gadjevich is okay as well. And like I said, shortly after that, the Panthers score on that delayed penalty, where Anton Lundell got that redirection with the extra attacker. And we didn't know who the goal was going to be awarded to for a little bit. It took a while for them to make that official announcement. But hey, Matthew Tkachuk gets regardless of who that was going to go to. Matthew Tkachuk was getting another point to get up to. I believe it was now 33 points since January 1st, and 38 since December 23rd.
Yep.
As well. So just honorable mention for those guys as well. Your moment of when you thought this game was won for the Panthers.
You were just talking about it, and I'll relate it to last night's game, Wednesday night's game. A team can throw the kitchen sink at you and have all the chances to tie the game or turn the momentum, but it really stings when you're close and then the other team goes down and scores.
Mm-hmm.
Florida is used to that. There are a lot of games early in the season where they would do exactly that, and then there would be a fluke goal, or there would just be a shot that just gets past Bob or Stoley, and it would just be deflating. Luckily, Florida is a good team, and they can overcome that. They don't let that ruin their mentality or what they're out there to do. But you have fragile teams like Pittsburgh and Buffalo that will damage exactly your game plan, and you got to change everything you're doing. So the Anton Lundell goal, I legit thought that was the game. That team is so brittle right now.
Yeah, like you said, throwing the kitchen sink with positioning on clears. That was really what helped the Florida Panthers on the night, and just consistent communication for everyone around. And that's really how you're going to win hockey games. Especially when you're on the road, you have the crowd against you and all yelling. you might overthink on whether to close a gap as well in transition. So just the fact that, and again, this goes back to the playoff run, the fact that they were able to win as many games in a row from game 2 of the first round all the way to game 1 of the Stanley Cup final. They didn't lose a road game in between that as well. So learning how to win in those environments is extremely crucial. And like I said, that's the lasting effects of that run from last year. So if you want to look back and see how it's manifested to this.
Definitely, and it just shows the consistency that this team has. I know that they were, pretty good without Ekblad and Montour until into November when they came back. But from the 4-game losing streak that they had in mid-January, where people were like, "Okay, what's going on? Like, are they putting it together? What's going on? Is the goaltending bad? Is the defense bad?" The Panthers have gone 8-1. They've scored 34 goals in that span. They've only let in 13 goals, and each goalie's had a shutout. They haven't allowed more than 2 goals in any of those 9 games. And that all culminates in the package of them being first in the conference right now. Everything's clicking. Everybody's contributing finally. I feel like every single line has something to contribute instead of, hey, we have to lean on Reinhart in the first line. Hey, Tkachuk's finally back. We had to lean on the second line. No, Lundell's coming alive. The fourth line is being consistent. I mean, they're finally getting goals now from other people. So I think right now we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg with this team, and it's fun.
Lots of fun, especially when you can battle in these close games as well, and then break away late instead of always these four goal blowouts, and then you don't have any adversity as well. So even though it's 10 straight road wins, we have seen plenty of that adversity in those games as well. So we're going to transition over to segment number 3, where we're going to discuss more about how Paul Maurice has felt about the game, and also take a little bit of a preview of Saturday's game at the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're going to discuss that and more here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Camino Consulting. How would you like to get to know someone better in an hour than you would in a year? Understanding one another better prevents small misunderstandings from becoming big ongoing fights. After providing more than 20 years of services to small and mid-sized businesses, helping management groups navigate conflict and onboarding new employees, Camino is offering a digital seminar for families and couples. Did your Valentine's Day gift of tickets to the game not go as well as you'd hope? Get the couples and family online seminar for 25% off in the month of February using the discount code Locked On. Again, that is discount code Locked On for 25% off for the rest of the month at www.caminoconsulting.ca, or mention Locked On when reaching out for a business seminar and receive the first 5 profiles for free. Third and final segment here on this Friday, February 16th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Fairbanks Friday edition of the show. So, Nich, Stolarz's numbers are updated here. 952, 1.98 GAA, and 925 save percentage. That's what he is currently at. Still the best road goaltender in the entire league as well. So, and when it comes to what Paul Maurice said going into this one, it's funny because it feels like Paul Maurice wanted to criticize the group, but then not criticize the group. But I feel like, but if you listen back, especially the audio, if you just see a quote in a tweet, you might not get a lot of context in it because you can't tell tone as well. But listening to it as far as the post-game show on the Bally broadcast, it didn't seem like he was angry at the group as far as that. He was very understanding about the guys being on the second end of a back-to-back. The lines the the for Stolarz, the great goaltending that they got, but the legs were not going for them. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
As far as that, but he spoke about how he ran the top few lines a lot of minutes last night, and thankfully Pittsburgh and Buffalo are pretty close to each other, so the travel was a lot easier for them as well. But the thing is, the mental side of this on the second and a back-to-back, when you know that, like you said earlier, they're throwing the kitchen sink at you, and then you have that backstop there. This is one of those games, if you're the coach, that you're feeling pretty great about. And it's like, wow, this team is tired. Their legs are not going, like the coaches said, but you still found a way for a goaltender who was rested, because the last game that he played was last Tuesday against the Flyers, and even before that, the Panthers had the All-Star break as well, and all. So the freshness of Stolarz being in the net, and even though with a team that's tired, it's truly helpful as far as how you take away this one when you reach 10 wins.
So I'm going to quote Hawk Harrelson, former White Sox play-by-play announcer. You have to have the TWTW. You have to have the will to win. And I think this team, no matter what, if they're tired, if their legs aren't going, as you're saying, they're always going to be able to lean on each other and find a way to get things done, whether that's rely on their rested goaltender, whether that's, diving to make it clear, or, making sure that, the other team doesn't mess with you, or, you chirp them just to kind of get them out of their skin a little bit, kind of like how Lomberg was saying, we're power play 3. Just little things like that. I think that just shows the character of this team and the kind of locker room they have. I mean, they're here to play for each other. They're here to win the ultimate prize, and they know they have unfinished business. And, this is a different team. This is, I don't want to equate it to last year's playoffs, but you can just tell there's something different about this team right now. And it's almost scary to think about, because I don't think we as Panther fans have ever seen it. It's you expect to win every single game you're going into, no matter how bad you may be playing, or maybe you give up a few soft goals, you're never out of it. And that's what makes this team so fun to watch right now.
Yeah, and even when they lose one game, you're not freaking out. Like, I don't go into games nervous for the Panthers. I mean, just about when you know that their style of play is one that works. That's really what it comes down to as well, when it comes to just being confident. That's the word, confidence. When it comes to and the players on the ice, they don't care who they face off against every single night. Which if the playoffs were to start today, the Panthers will be going up against the Detroit Red Wings, I believe. Refreshing it, yes, Detroit. Which that's not going to be fun in the Fairbanks household. But we're at least the Red Wings are on the road against the Canucks tonight, so maybe a little bit of the change as one step closer to the President's Trophy. Maybe, I know a lot of fans don't want that, but we'll see.
No.
But Florida Panthers, last game of the road trip, they go into Tampa Bay. They just got a win against the Colorado Avalanche, which Nathan MacKinnon, not fun 2 games in the state of Florida, where he landed on his face in Sunrise and then got a puck to the face in Tampa tonight as well. So not a fun 2 games for Mac in the state. But Tampa Bay's hot, 7-3-0, but they are missing Mikhail Sergachev, who's out for the season after a horrific injury.
Yeah,
and this is where the Tampa Bay Lightning are a little bit of a tough spot, because you lose a top defenseman as well. Yes, you have the cap space that's cleared up there. Now the rumors of Noah Hannafin going to the Tampa Bay Lightning are starting to intensify as well.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, you ask yourself, with so many years of going for it and assets that were traded for guys like Brendan Hagel, and Tanner Jeannot. The question is this the year that Brisebois does not go all in? But at the same time, you think about it with Stamkos's contract coming up and expiring, you got to think in the back of your head that this could be that last ride for Stamkos in Tampa Bay. Even though I don't think it is, I think he's going to come back on a team friendly deal, which he sacrificed so much for that team. But Nikita Kucherov, he leads the league in points. That Tampa Bay Lightning power play is still very dangerous as well. So they just went on the road a few days ago and won in Boston in a shootout. I was watching that game live, but still dangerous team that they have there, and they're rolling just like the Panthers. So something's got to give as the Panthers are looking to make it 11 straight road wins and tying for the league lead this season in consecutive road wins, which the LA Kings had 11 earlier this season. So going to be a fun one on Saturday late afternoon at 5 p.m.
Always a fun matchup against Florida and Tampa Bay. Not necessarily what I would consider an NHL rivalry. It's only a rivalry really here in Florida, and really not so much there just because the teams haven't had success at the same time. It's only until recently, but even then, I don't know if I would consider it a rivalry. I mean, Bennett beat Sergachev's face-off last season.
2 seasons ago.
Oh, it was 2 seasons ago, man. See,
towards the end of the regular season, 2022.
Yeah, winning is just doing that, and that's fun, and that's great. But Florida needs to stick to their game, and I think they have more of a complete team right now than Tampa Bay. As you said about Brisebois going forward again, maybe he stands pat like Bill Zito did last year. Maybe he has enough faith in this team the way that they're going right now. Maybe they figured some things out. And all it takes is Vasilevsky to get on a heater. And they're right back where they were a few seasons ago. So nothing's out of the realm of possibility. You can never count that team out. I know that there were some commentators saying, oh, this is the end of Tampa Bay. I don't know. They're kind of doing the Boston thing right now.
Yeah.
They just won't die. So I think that, it's going to be fun. I don't think it's going to be high scoring. However, if the teams trade power plays, yeah, you can see a 5-4, 6-4 game. I could see that, but Florida just has to play a smart game. They have to play their game, and they have to make sure that they contain Point and Kucherov
in that bumper.
Yep. And I think they'll come away with the win.
Yeah, and the Panthers 1-0 in the season series. Sam Reinhart did get a shorthanded goal. I remember that goal where he battled off Victor Hedman and then on a tough angle to score that one. That's what made it 3-1 at the time for the Panthers. He got 2 goals on the night there. So definitely something that he could definitely build off of for that, and going to be a tough one as they look to end the road trip and get back home right before they face off against the Ottawa Senators on Tuesday night. But Nick, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this Friday edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Tell everybody where they can find you online, my friend.
No, thanks for having me on again. It's been fun, this week. And everybody, you guys can follow me on X or Twitter at Prudentia0. And I hope to be speaking to you guys next week.
Awesome. And we will, and I will be in the building on Saturday, late afternoon, for Florida versus Tampa Bay from Amalie Arena. So if you guys happen to be there and want to say hello, please shoot me a DM or something, and we could say hello. See you next week, Nick. And if you happen to be listening and happen to be in Tampa, see you guys there. So see you next week, my friend.
See you next week.
And if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows on the Locked On NHL network, including Locked On NHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey with Flip Livingstone and Steele Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. So I'm Armando Velez with Nich Fairbanks, and you've been listening to Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.